How much advice can I give you as a licensed land surveyor about your real estate project, your land development project, or your parcel before we have a signed agreement? It's an interesting question, right? Like, how much advice is too much advice? And why would there be a limit at all? Why would there be a limit? Why can't I just give you all the advice you need? So it's a good question I want to try and answer in this video. So the first thing I want to make clear is we love to answer questions. Part of the reason we started our business, my partners and I, is because we like to help people, right? And people need good help. They need good advice, especially when they're dealing with real estate. I talk in some of my other videos, we'll link in the description. I talk about there's this huge due diligence gap in real estate. Your title insurance doesn't cover what you think. Your broker's not asking all the questions you need them to ask. Your land attorney doesn't understand why they can't just get title insurance with the tax assessor map. So there's a lot of ignorance. And so one of the things that we really take pride in and we enjoy as land surveyors is being able to answer people's questions. So that's part of how we demonstrate value, right? It's part of how we demonstrate value to you as a potential client before we have an executed agreement, a signed agreement. It's also part of how we demonstrate value to you after we have a signed agreement. So just as an example, we recently started work on a little subdivision over in the East Bay, and the client is not a sophisticated client. They've never done real estate development before, and so they've been asking us lots of questions about off-site improvements they need to make and about protected trees and all kinds of stuff, and we've been trying to guide them through that process, either give them the answer if we have it or help them find the answer if we don't. And so that's part of what a good consultant does. There's nothing wrong with that. It's also the reason why we have this YouTube channel, right? We have this YouTube channel because we're trying to answer people's questions, right? We don't charge you a fee. You don't have to pay any money to view this YouTube channel, right? It's available. We're just putting that information out there because we like to help people, and we want to be able to answer people's questions about boundary surveying and land title and land use planning and land development. Okay, but there is a limit to how much advice we can give you about specific projects or specific parcels, and there is a certain type of question that we can't answer until we have a signed agreement. So I want to explain what those limits are and then why those limits exist. So first of all, there's some types of questions that we can answer and that we can't answer. So what kind of questions can we answer? I can answer for you questions that are, that I can answer, fact-based questions that I can answer when the answer is easily obtained from the public record. So for example, what's the tax assessor number for my parcel? What is the area for my parcel listed in my deed? When was my parcel last surveyed? What kind of property corner monument should be at the edges of my parcel? Do you think my parcel might have access to the public road? Most of those questions we can answer in a few minutes by either looking at the tax assessor information or taking a quick look at your grant deed or looking at the filed survey maps that have been filed on or around your parcel. So we can answer those kinds of questions, if the information is in what we call the public record, so it's on a deed or in a map, a filed survey map, or tax assessor information that we can easily get to. We can usually answer those kinds of questions for you, and we typically will. Okay, another type of question we can answer is same type of question, but if it's not in the public record, but it's in a title report, or it's in maybe you've got a survey from your neighbor or a survey that somebody else did on the property, but it's not filed, and you provide us those documents. Again, we can answer some basic questions. Did this surveyor, here was this survey that was done 5 years ago on this property I just bought. Did the surveyor set the monuments? Did he map the power line easement? We can answer those kinds of questions if you provide us with the documents. Okay, so what type of questions can we not answer? Well, we can't answer questions that are going to require us to actually do the survey until we're under contract. So if you tell me, hey, what exactly is the surveyed acreage or area of my parcel, I can't tell you that until we've done the survey, right? So, or if you ask me, is my neighbor's garage over the property line? I don't know that either because I haven't done the survey yet. So, right? So those specific questions that actually require us to do the survey, we can't answer those kinds of questions. Okay, so what type of advice can we give? There's advice we can give, and then there's some advice that we don't want to give. So as a general rule, we can give you some fairly broad, non-specific assessments of risk. So one of the things we work at here at Redefined Horizons is to help people either eliminate or manage risk in real estate transactions. So, we can tell you, hey, based on what we reviewed in the public record, we think this is a pretty risky transaction, or we think it's a fairly safe transaction. We can tell you, hey, we think it'd be a good idea to get a survey in this particular case because of the unknowns, or we don't think that a survey is going to be a good value for the money it's going to cost you. And we tell people that. Believe it or not, you call a good surveyor, he or she is not always going to try and sell you a survey. If you don't need a survey, she may tell you not to get the survey, right? If the survey isn't worth the money, a good surveyor, she'll tell you that. Okay, so that's important. So we can give you an idea. Hey, do we think you need a survey? Yes or no? We can also tell you maybe you've got potential problems that aren't going to get fixed by a survey. Maybe you need a land attorney or a title company or an environmental consultant. We'll tell you, hey, we see some potential problems here. We think you might need some professional help. Let us recommend somebody to help you out. So we can do that, and we often do. Okay, so what kind of advice can we not give? Well, let's just say you bought a piece of property and you think there's an abandoned easement on there, and you come to me and you say, hey, can I put my shopping center on top of this old abandoned easement? I can't answer that question for you until we're under contract, right? It's super specific. It requires a lot of information that I don't have. It could have major consequences for you as a client. So before I even think about trying to give you some advice on that issue, I'm going to want to be under contract, and I'm going to want to have done some work so I can give you good advice, right? A lot of times I can't give you good advice if I haven't done the work. And a good surveyor knows that. And a good surveyor is going to tell you, hey, I can't answer that question until I've done some of my work, my research, my field work, my analysis. Okay. So why are we being difficult? It seems like, Landon, you're just being stingy. You want to get people to sign your contract and pay you. That's true. But we're not trying to be difficult. We're trying to find a balance. So I want to give you 2 or 3 reasons why there's a limit to how much free advice we can give you. Okay, so one is just liability and insurance. Okay, so I have to protect myself. If I give you advice, especially if it's advice that's not based on an actual survey, if I give you advice and then you rely on that advice, even if we don't have a contract, in theory, you could sue me. I mean, whether you're going to win or not in court is a different question, but I don't ever want to put my company in that situation, right? And the other thing has to do with insurance. So if I'm doing work for you without a signed contract, that's probably not covered by my professional liability insurance, which means neither one of us is protected if I make a mistake. So if you know very much about me, you know that I do not have a high net worth. Landon Blake is not a multimillionaire by any stretch. Landon Blake is not even a millionaire. So if I make a mistake, you want to make sure that you have access to my insurance coverage. And I want to make sure of that too. So it doesn't do us any good to give you advice that isn't going to be covered by my insurance. We want to make sure that we have a contract in place so that it's covered. If I don't have a contract, it's not covered. Okay? And then the final thing is just the cost. The second thing is the cost. We do we look at a lot of parcels. We look at a lot of potential projects. We answer a lot of questions. We even have a little thing on our website. If you're involved in commercial real estate, you can fill out what we call a request for a boundary and land title quick check, or you can ask us to review a title report or a land title survey, and we will typically do that for you at no charge. But we have to put a limit on it, right? We can only do so much of that free work. We're running a business, so we have families to take care of and employees to take care of. We're not running a charity. And even if we were running a charity, charities have limits too, right? Charities have to live within their means. And so at some point we just have to say, hey, we've done enough here. We've done enough free work. And if you really want rock solid answers you can depend on, you need to get us a deposit and get us signed contract with us. Now, a lot of people don't like that. Some people understand that. Some people don't like it. But I've learned as a business person, there are people that will just take all the free advice they can get. Those are the same people that will go out, rely on that free advice, and then sue you when something goes wrong, right? So we don't want to put our business in that position. Like I said, it doesn't do you or me any good. We want to make sure if I'm providing services that we have an executed contract and that work is being covered by our professional liability insurance. So there is a limit to the amount of free advice I can give you about your project or your parcel. There is a limit to the types of questions I can answer. Some questions we can answer relatively easily. Some questions I just can't answer until you execute a contract with me and we get a survey finished.